red lights are on now, and the race is about to get underway with the stall for Dave Hodkin. He's got it back going though pretty quickly, but he's got cars coming either side of him. It's a great start though from Peter Bowe from fourth on the grid. He's gone round the outside of both Ed Piver and Bill Cowley, but Piver's got decent straight line speed. Not enough though to get past Bowe, so Peter Bowe that leads the way, the multiple champion.
I think Hodkin's about 12th or 13th in the bright yellow car.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. But Cowley's normally pretty good on these first laps, so I was wondering if he was going to make progress. He hasn't done yet. Who's gone wide there? And it's Andrew Kemp, after saying his great success he had at Cadwell. Now he's had a spin as well, so he's at the back of the grid. So Snetterton hasn't started as well as Cadwell Park finished, but here are the leaders. Piver's a little bit wide, but that seems okay. He's able to carry the speed through the corner. He's ahead of Cowley, and he's chasing back after Peter Bowe then. The leader, Peter Bowe, the five-time champion. Ed Piver just behind. Then Cowley, then Glover, then up the inside comes 9, which is Richard Jenkins in the Shepherd, and they're absolutely will-to-will and almost leaning on one another. But a great start there, Marcus, from Peter Bowe.
Yeah, it was. Absolutely extraordinary from fourth on the grid. And there's a great chunk. That's just Goff's bodywork floating around in the track. That sort of clover livery, I think, gives it away. That should be retrieved quite easily. That's in the CGR2 Evo.
Yeah, I wondered it was going to be those two cars that were leaning on one another. But yeah, they could see Goff's car. The whole back of the car's gone.
The tail's gone, hasn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
So that could well be for the pit lane. There's David Reed at the back, but here are the leaders, because Bowe is under threat from Piver, this car that's normally pretty good in a straight line. With its
Cowley's third, isn't he? And then fourth is Glover.
Yeah, that's right. Mark Windley's made a good start because he was much further down the order. He's side by side with Jake Doherty. These are, I think, two Class B drivers for the less experienced driver. Jake Doherty, the grandson of Bob Simpson, goes through. Behind him, Dave Hodkin trying to make progress.
Yeah, he ducked through sort of diagonally at that point. I saw there's the Grum there.
And Piver's got the lead, Marcus. He's got past Bowe, and we're going to get a safety car. So perhaps with that bodywork, you can see there what is left of the back of the car, which is very little, because it's not near a marshal post.
No, that's the point. It might not even be that badly damaged. It's sort of just lurking upside down in the road.
So we are going to get a safety car, unfortunately. But Ed Piver, importantly for him, got past Peter Bowe. It must have been into Coram, I reckon, because he was ahead in Coram itself. But yeah, probably happened again on that opening lap of the race. We had a similar situation a couple of weeks ago. Snetterton really does create good racing, I think. Always has done, but this new layout seems to suit competitive racing. We heard there from our drivers in the previous race how they said you can just keep passing people all the way through the lap. Of course, this championship would have raced on all those different versions of Snetterton over the course of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Oof. So, just think if the trees could speak.
Of course, originally Snetterton sort of run absolutely parallel with the A11, didn't it? Down the Norwich Straight, up to where the market used to be until that went, 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago now.
Arrives at McDonald's now, doesn't it? Something like that. The Scottish restaurant chain.
Absolutely. And then, obviously, before the current layout, we had the 2-mile wheel slipstreaming circuit, which I guess was fairly simple, but did create good racing. And then this newest layout, which is more complex as a driver, but equally for underpowered cars.
That's Mark Windley's car, isn't it? That's off as well.
He came through in 11th.
Things.
So what's happened there?
This Windley's, isn't it?
It looks
like it.
So yeah, the marshal's now with it. So that's at Wilson, I think. So perhaps that car's broken since he came across the line. And yeah, he's just getting out the car now. And not too far for the car to go. And then we've got to get someone to that bodywork, because it is a big part of car. I guess that's why they were keen to have the safety car out.
Yes, it's like a two-person job, I suspect, to kind of move that away.
Is that Windley's car still going? I wonder if it's Hugh Davies. That car's kind of similar, the Phoenix Fire.
Okay.
But again, that was across the line. So whichever car it is a car that's had a problem since the safety car come out. The problem for Chris Goff is if this bit of car bodywork's been damaged, he may not have another, especially not here.
I'm sure he won't be taking spare tails and things with him.
But the one thing, I guess, for people perhaps new to this series to note is how a lot of these cars all developed and designed by the drivers themselves, which is a very rare thing nowadays.
And over the years, we've had many champions who've done a lot of work on their own cars or completely built them from scratch.
I guess it's something that really harks back to club racing in the 70s and 80s.
The arrow on that, with all the wheels enclosed and everything, that's Andrew Kemp's race kits Falcon.
Is most of that rear tail actually intact still? Possibly.
It looks like it probably is.
So
it's a 21 car.
Yeah, that is Hugh Davies.
It's Hugh Davies.
So he has retired, a driver from Peterborough. And this car that was originally built back in 2007 as a CTM phaser, but it's been rebuilt with new bodywork, nose cone splitter, front bodywork, all own design. So as you were saying, Marcus, it's been developed over the years, like most of these cars have been. I guess the one different thing really is the race kits, isn't it? Although saying that, Mark Glover has developed his since it has been built, but some of the others, the race kits, Falcons, all as they come.
Yeah, people do buy them, and because they're clever engineers, they've got a workshop at the end of the garden, whatever, or that's what they kind of do for a living. They spend a lot of time doing little subtle tweaks to the cars, then think, I'll remake the nose, or I'll remake the wheel arches, or whatever it is. And again, the lights I think are now out on the safety car.
So we're getting about 8.5 minutes of racing, so still some good racing time left as the race then gets underway as they go up across the line markers.
Yeah, the first three breaking away from the rest now. Pither, Bove and Cowley. Pither in the blue and orange PRS, Bove in the orange Derby, and Bill Cowley in the Cowley Mark IV, developed by his grandfather. And Bill Cowley pops out of Bove's slipstream down the hairpin and dives inside. Now, he's made it through. He's got past Peter Bove at the Wilson hairpin. And 77, Bill Cowley up into second place, gunning for his fourth success of the year. But he sensed that Ed Pither is just getting away just a little bit up front. And in certain parts of the circuit, I think Bove has the advantage over Cowley. Cowley trying to cling to the inside of Agostini, making Bove go the long way round. And I'm surprised you say that Bove's only won the championship 5 times. I think it seems that he's been doing it forever.
Yeah, he won in 2001, 2006, 7 and 8, and then a big gap to last year where he won it again. I think
the car was loaned out at one point, wasn't it? Also for a couple of seasons.
Cowley went really wide there, didn't he? Just about kept on the road.
But he was very wide at the hairpin. It's kind of understeered at the hairpin and through the gap without any great need for a second invitation was Bill Cowley.
But now Bove back on the tail of Cowley, which tends not to be the quickest car in a straight line. And is Bove just able to power past him? He is. Somebody's way off the road in the background. Yellow flags there. But Peter Bove's back through. So perhaps it's not the best circuit for that older car, the Cowley, who's up the curb.
Thrown it back to the inside and jumped up over the inside curb there, did Bill Cowley. But he's weaned in karting, so he's not worried about that kind of thing.
Because Cowley did say a couple of years ago he was going to stop car racing to go to bikes, but he's come back now for a full season, so perhaps he's decided cars is the better way to go. And I thought, he has gone to the inside, but Bove sort of blocked him and sort of made his intentions known, so Cowley didn't charge up the inside, because that would have been Cowley through, I think. So Ed Pither's getting away, but he's not really involved in the full championship fight, where those behind are.
Mark Glover's now begun to reel Cowley in. And it could be 3 for second any moment. And behind him, Richard Jenkins in the number 9 car, the Shepherd, built by one of the Shepherd brothers. They had a car each, didn't they?
Cowley's locked up.
Yeah, he's run wide as a result of that.
You don't normally see that from Bill, do we? Not mistakes like that. So Mark Glover goes through, championship leader. But Cowley's going to try and fight back here into Palmer. He's on the left-hand side of the circuit, which is the inside line. He goes back through, so that's back into 3rd position for Bill Cowley. Didn't drop that position for very long. But you mentioned Richard Jenkins there, local driver, ex-low-cost racer. He's there in 5th and going well. Then Ian Barley up next. He started 11th, so he's had a good run up into 6th position in his race kits Falcon. But for Ed Pither, he's now 3 seconds ahead. He's lapped in the 2:11s, which is about a second slower than qualifying, but if those behind are battling like they are, he's been able to pull clear. Glover's car, sort of much bigger car with the bodywork he's got on it. It makes you wonder what that's going to be like through the air on these long straights, Marcus.
Yeah, it looks massive in comparison to the Cowley, doesn't it? But look at the PRS out front. That's really wide. It's got a large flat floor on it, but that was done on purpose because it gives it more suction down onto the track, even with as little power as these Fiat fire engines make.
So Glover can't fight back, I don't think, down the Bentley Straight. Peter Bove is starting to pull clear now in second. Yes, that's spread that batter out a little bit now, and Ian Barley can't stay with them. Dave Hodkins back to 7th, so he was the driver who made the slow start. But progress, where was he behind the safety car? So he's gained a couple since then, hasn't he, Hodkin? So he was just behind Jake Doherty behind the safety car, so he's gained something like 3 positions. Jake Doherty, by the way, has dropped right back since then. He hasn't come through, has he? So we've lost a car there. But leaders across the line with a couple of laps to go. The gap is just under 4 seconds between Piver and Bove, then Cowley. Then the gap's going out behind to Glover and Jenkins, but then Ian Barley in 6th, under pressure from Dave Hodkin. Hodkin's done a 2:12.8, so he's lapping at a similar pace as Bill Cowley up front.
Yeah, 2:11.5 is the best lap of the race. That was better the last time round.
Some way away from David Bartholomew's championship lap record in the car that Piver is driving. There's Hodkin. He's got past Ian Barley, so that's 6th. Can he get any further? He started the lap 4 seconds behind Richard Jenkins, so it's going to be difficult to get any more. Then Mick Harris is up next in 8th, so he's progressed from 15th on the grid.
Yeah, he's catching Ian Barley as well by the looks of things. And there's Dave Hodkin in the HRD, as opposed to a Vincent HRD, which is a very famous racing motorcycle.
Oh, I don't know much about bikes. So.
2 wheels, chap, 2 wheels.
So there is Hodkin. Now Chris Goff is getting the black and orange mechanical warning flag, but I don't think he's gone back out, has he? Nothing suggests that he has, so that's a little bit odd.
He's still shown at the back of the list, isn't he? But he's a lap down and half a minute or so. Are you aware that your tail has fallen off?
I think he probably is. I'm not convinced he's on the circuit, so I'm not quite sure how that's come about. There's Richard Jenkins then in 5th in that Shepherd.
It's a good looking thing, that.
Yeah, apparently there's going to be a second one because Richard Dixon is currently building a second car. Richard Jenkins, who's 63 from Norwich. So he's not had too far to travel. He won 3 low-cost races. He's had 3 podiums in this car, which was originally designed and built by Max Shepherd. He turns into Murray's. Leader started the fastest lap into the 2:10s now for Ed Piver, quicker than he went in qualifying, a 2-minute 10.34. Bove in 2nd is being caught by Cowley again. So that gap is less than a second. So Bill Cowley's not given up on P2 yet. Then Glover, Jenkins and Hodkin. Hodkin starting the lap a couple of seconds behind Jenkins, but this is the battle for second. Down into the hairpin at Wilson. Can Bill Cowley challenge and get past Peter Bove? Traditionally, Cowley's been quick in the early laps in this race, Mark, because he seems to be coming strong at the end. Yeah,
I love that car. It's just such a wonderful thing. I didn't see it racing contemporarily in 750, but I did see it appear very occasionally, kind of in the 70s. It was owned by the late Trevor Hegarty at one point as well, and so it came back to the family. It's been green, it's been red, it's been yellow in Hegarty's hands, and now it's back to this as we all remember it best.
Yeah, it's come from a similar era to the historic cars we've seen, but obviously it's changed a lot since then. It looks very different to all of the others.
Aerodynamically, it looks a bit similar to that, with the exception of the sort of Formula 4 2000 style centre post rear wing back in the day. But it's of course got a different engine in it now and different drive system. It's really very, very clever.
Yeah, absolutely, and as you say, it looks really good as well, which is always good when a racing car does that. It's a very different looking car to the Derby of Peter Bove ahead, which that car always feels to me like it's got a bigger rear wing than it needs to have. It's huge, isn't it? on that car.
Yeah, that gives you the maximum width of the bodywork benefit. But it obviously doesn't have a great deal of chord to it on that wing, because you don't want to be causing too much drag with so little power.
Up to the line, he's going to come Ed Pivot. He's going to win, keep up his 100% win record of the races he started. He won at Silverstone, and now he's won here at Snetterton as well in quite convincing fashion, with the fastest lap on the last lap, a 2:09. For second place, Bill Cowley's gone through, so we didn't expect that. Bill Cowley has got past Peter Bove. I'm not sure if Peter Bove expected that. We'll hear from them in a few moments, but Cowley gets second at the line then by 1/10 of a second over Peter Bove. That must have happened at Murray's.